Alex's ability to hack into Combine computers, they stumbled upon a conversation between Wallace Breen and Judith Osman. Judith appeared to be upset with Wallace that he had gone back on a promise not to touch Eli, to which Wallace responded that Eli was too tempting of a prize to simply turn loose, especially as Gordon Freeman had escaped. To Alex's surprise and anger, Judith argued that the Combine would have Freeman if Wallace had just waited for her
Dia tak tahu macam mana.
Wallace was under a lot of pressure from the
Tak, kita
Combine
mancing.
to stop this
Aku
outlier,
nak dapatkan
and
string.
although Judith stated Eli needed to come around to Breen's way of thinking without pressure, Wallace instead chalked this up to Judith having feelings for the Resistance leader. As the call ended, Alex and Gordon headed further into the depot to confront the spy, where they eventually came face to face with Judith. In a fit of rage, Alex accused her of betraying the whole Resistance as she brought out her father. Although Judith had been caught, she still denied the claim that she had betrayed the Resistance, and instead had only worked to protect Eli. In the next room, Alex discovered the teleporter built from Eli's stolen work. With her main mission to rescue her father, Alex ordered Judith to prepare the teleporter as she contacted Isaac in his lab to get the coordinates of where to be sent.
Kita boleh buat
But
spawner macam
Judith
aku
knew this equipment
spawner je ni.
really well
Tahu lupa
and
buat spawner dah
distracted
dah.
Alex with an error as she ran into the device, where she teleported herself and Eli to the Citadel. Having failed their goal, Alex and Gordon fought off Combine units as they waited for the device to recharge, and as the teleporter hit full power, Alex and Gordon jumped in and teleported. This teleporter in Nova Prospect was still in development and unstable, and having been
Aku dah
used
buat
twice in such a short period of time, it malfunctioned and exploded. This explosion had two major effects. The first, that most of or all of Nova Prospect was destroyed as a result, and the fall of a major Combine stronghold had signaled to the Resistance that the Combine were not as indestructible as they had once thought, and if one stronghold could go down, then so could another. And the second, that Gordon and Alex had not arrived in Kleiner's lab as planned, and many believe them to have died in this explosion, martyrs for their cause. Over the next week, an uprising began, where the Resistance, led by Barney Calhoun, took to the streets to take back City 17. Block by block, the Resistance liberated the streets, where the citizens joined them in their fight. Alongside this, the Resistance also disabled the defenses that the Combine had put in place to keep out the hostile alien Xeni creatures from the wasteland, where headcrabs and antlions flooded the city. As Isaac packed up his lab in preparation to leave a war-torn City 17, he heard his teleporter activate in the back room, and as he opened the door with a shotgun in hand, he was surprised to discover Gordon and Alex. They were alive, and Isaac had a theory on what had happened. As the teleporter wasn't stable when they used it, and the fact that the Combine did not use a Xenian relay as a slingshot for the teleportation, the duo had been stuck in a slow teleport that to them had appeared like seconds, when in reality it had taken a week. After Isaac filled in the duo on what had occurred over the last week, Barney sent through a transmission and asked for help as he was under heavy fire. So, Gordon and Dog left to join the fight, as Alex stayed behind to help Dr. Kleiner out of City 17, which she did, and after doing so, she also joined the fight. On his path through a war-torn City 17, Gordon fought alongside the Resistance as a leader on his way to Barney, but Alex was captured by Combine forces during this push. Eventually, Gordon reached and rescued Barney from Combine snipers, and together they led the Resistance to the Overwatch Nexus. Here, they not only took over this once feared building, but they also deactivated the suppression field that the Combine had used to stop the reproduction of humanity. As the resistance marched forward, they came upon the foot of the citadel, where Dog pulled up a part of a Combine barricade to reveal a tunnel
Oh,
that
mancing,
led
mancing.
directly inside the citadel. Barney and his unit had control of this region. Now, it was up to Gordon to do his part. So, as Gordon dropped into the tunnel to rescue his friends, Barney shouted down a message to give to Wallace Breen. Upon his arrival in the citadel, Gordon entered a confiscation field which took away all of his weaponry, but it had a different effect on the gravity gun, where it supercharged the device and turned it into a weapon itself. Here, Gordon fought past Overwatch Elite, but was ultimately captured and taken to Dr. Breen's office. In his office, Breen felt immense pressure. His control of the population of City 17 had gone, and he was desperate to regain it. He needed their submission so that his relationship with the Combine would continue. And so, with Eli in his grasp, he ordered the Resistance leader to tell them to back down. But Eli hated Wallace and the Combine agenda, and refused. As Gordon was pulled into the office, Wallace gloated that he had succeeded, and once again demanded that the leaders of this resistance put a stop to the uprising. And once again, Eli refused and Gordon stayed silent, where, eventually, Breen brought out a trick up his sleeve. Alex. Although Eli loved his daughter, she too was as stubborn as he was, and together, the three resistance leaders refused to do anything Wallace ordered, to the point where Wallace threatened to send Eli and Alex to the Combine overworld as they were of no use to him. Silently, Judith contemplated her role in this whole situation. She had a strong relationship with Eli and had been promised that no harm would come to him, but Wallace now appeared to be going back on it. As she decided her next move, Judith finally spoke up. She wanted Eli to be safe and argued that she needed him to complete their work on teleportation for the Combine, to which Wallace simply said that she was more than capable of finishing Eli's work herself. So, with Wallace having told her that Eli was set to suffer or die on the Combine overworld, she turned against him. Wallace asked Gordon to change the course of this uprising. He was the symbol and leader of this resistance, and as Wallace knew of the G-Man in some capacity, he spoke of how Gordon had essentially
Kalau nak
acted
buat
as a
boleh
puppet
tapi
for the
macam
G-Man and his employers. Before Gordon could say anything, Judith locked the doors of Wallace's office and freed Gordon from his containment pod. But unwilling to surrender himself, Wallace grabbed Gordon's gravity gun and activated it, where the blast stunned everyone in the room as he escaped on an elevator.
Potion
As
botol tu.
Gordon, Alex, Eli, and Judith recovered, Wallace contacted his
Steady,
Combine overlords and asked for help. Here, the advisor offered him a host body on their overworld. In this moment, Wallace Breen had a choice: face the species he had betrayed, or become something new on a new world to survive. In desperation, Wallace chose the host body, but his call with the advisor was cut short as Alex and Gordon came for him. So, he fled again, this time to a teleporter that could take him to the Combine overworld. Down below, Judith, repentant for her actions during this war, helped Eli leave the Citadel, where they planned to travel to White Forest in the
Iron dah dah. Tak
Outlands,
ada.
the place
Tak ada
Arthur
iron.
Anderson had set up many years before in preparation for this very moment. At the top of the Citadel, Alex and Gordon discovered the dark fusion reactor that powered this entire structure, and with knowledge of how to use Combine machinery, Alex waited in the control room as Gordon followed Wallace. As Wallace activated a portal to the Combine overworld, Gordon fought against Overwatch soldiers as he climbed to the top of the structure to stop Green's ascension. Using his wit and gravity gun, Gordon Freeman fired spheres of dark energy at the reactor, where it was shut down. In this moment, a chain reaction occurred. The portal above the Citadel closed. Wallace fell to his death, and all of the Citadels across the planet were disabled. As a result of this, all access and communication to the Combine overworld was cut off from Earth. In this victory, Alex cheered for joy, but then the reactor exploded and a surge of energy came from it. As Gordon watched this burst of energy come towards himself and Alex, time stopped and the G-Man appeared once again. He told Gordon that he had done so much in his short time back. It appeared that Gordon had somehow done exactly what the G-Man had wanted him to do, and as he had completed his task, he was once again plucked out of reality. The G-Man explained that he was impressed by his work, and he had received tempting offers for his services. This time, the G-Man did not give Gordon the illusion of choice, and instead placed him back in stasis, where he hoped to keep him for his next task. At the top of the Citadel, with the G-Man and Gordon gone, time started again. But before the wave of energy could hit Alex, it was stopped again, this time by Vortigaunt's under the influence of antlion extract. This extract allowed them to amplify their abilities, and as some members of the Vortigaunt species had the power of foresight, they believed that they needed Alex for the fight to come. So, they too teleported into this region, grabbed Alex and placed her somewhere safe, away from the wave of energy at the top of the Citadel. Alex found herself at the base of the Citadel, pulled out of rubble by Dog and out of harm's way. As she looked around, she noticed Gordon was missing. Over the next few days, Alex wandered the region around the base of the Citadel with Dog as she searched for him, but he was not there. After their arrival in White Forest, Eli and Judith were reunited with Isaac and their old colleague Arnie Magnuson, where he caught them up to speed. Their rocket was almost complete, and they believed that when the unstable Citadel inevitably fell, then the Combine would find a way to come back to Earth and reclaim the planet. To stop this, Arnie needed just two things. The first, to complete the rocket, which would be done much faster now that he had Eli and Isaac, and the second, the coordinates to the Combine overworld, which he believed was somewhere in the north. So, as Eli and Isaac got to work, Judith ventured to the north to discover them. With their enhanced abilities, the Vortigaunt broke into the G-Man status prison, where he stored his recruits. They needed to find Gordon Freeman. The Vortigaunts had once only known Gordon as the man with a crowbar who came and stepped down the steel corridors of Black Mesa, but now he was the free man, the person that would save them from the Combine. Eventually, they found him, and he woke up. As they prepared to bring him back to Earth, they were interrupted by the G-Man, who had come to protect his charge. But as they had amplified their abilities, they were able to hold him off. This angered the G-Man, as he appeared to have a plan for Gordon. However, the Vortigaunt were too powerful, so he left enraged with his plan for this scientist changed. Judith and her team discovered something unexpected: the Borealis. This ship had disappeared from Aperture decades before under mysterious circumstances. Although Aperture had attempted to keep their project secret, the personnel of Black Mesa had still managed to access confidential information. Since its disappearance, the Borealis had become a legend. No one knew how the ship had disappeared. there were only rumours that it involved teleportation. So, when Judith discovered it, she recorded some footage and returned to her Arctic base. Here, she documented her findings and began a transmission to White Forest, where she embedded her files into the transmission. The problem was that the Combine had spotted her team during their expedition, attacked her base, and interrupted this transmission. Judith managed to flee this initial assault as the Combine took this transmission and uploaded it to their servers. On Earth, Gordon woke up and heard Alex's voice. The Vortigaunts had placed him somewhere that she would find him, and after Dog lifted up the debris on top of him, they were reunited. Over the last few days, the city had fallen even further as a result of the uprising, and many had evacuated. As Gordon, Alex, and Dog began their journey to leave, they heard Eli over a communication station. Alex had attempted to reach White Forest for hours, and they had finally initiated contact. Although Eli and Isaac were happy to hear that Alex had found Gordon and that he was still alive, they were upset to discover that she was still at the base of a highly unstable citadel. Isaac suggested that the only way they would be able to leave City 17 in time would be if they entered the citadel and stabilized the core. It would explode eventually, but this would give them and the remaining refugees in the city enough time to evacuate. With their mission clear, Alex and Gordon entered the structure and fought past the remaining Combine units inside. Gordon wore a HEV suit that protected him against the radiation of the core, and so it was his job to stabilize it, as Alex watched from an observation window and looked through the Combine systems. With the core stable for now, it was clear that the Combine had set the core to melt down, so that they could use the power from a dark energy flare to send off a data packet and request reinforcements from the Combine overworld. As Alex looked deeper into the Combine system, she also came across Judith's transmission with the embedded information that the Combine had stolen, in which Alex downloaded all of their data, Combine overworld coordinates included. Having done everything they could in the Citadel, Alex and Gordon boarded a razor train out of the structure into City 17, and although this razor train crashed, the duo made it to the tactical train station, where Barney had charged himself with making sure that the remaining members of the Resistance and the refugees boarded a train out of the city. The problem was that the remaining Combine units in the city also wanted to board the trains and kill the Resistance. With the help of Alex and Gordon, the refugees made it to the train safely, and having done his part, Barney decided to leave with them. As Barney boarded the train, Gordon and Alex said their goodbyes as he left. After this moment, it is unknown what happened to Barney. However, as he had shown similar survival qualities to Gordon, it is likely he got the refugees to safety. Gordon and Alex had done everything they could for the Resistance in City 17, and it was their turn to leave, but they were ambushed by desperate Combine units and a Strider, where Gordon had no trouble using a rocket launcher to destroy it as Alex prepared the train. As the train left the city, the core of the Citadel collapsed and a dark energy flare destroyed the Dark Tower and the city around it. From the train, Alex and Gordon watched as the Combine advisor pods launched out into the Outlands to safety. These creatures were the contacts Wallace Breen had with the Combine, and as far as he knew, they were the leaders. Although Alex and Gordon's train travelled at great speeds away from City 17, this burst of energy still caught up to them, and then everything went white. As Gordon woke up, he heard the strain of metal, and as he looked around, he saw that the train had just about survived the fall of the Citadel. Having survived another dangerous situation, Gordon made his way through the train to the ground, where he was relieved to find Alex also alive. Together, they started their journey towards White Forest. At one point, the duo looked out into the distance over the ruins of City 17, and right above it, they saw the formation of a superportal. This had now become a race against time, and they needed to get White Forest with the data packet before this portal formed completely. However, the Combine knew Alex had this data packet and began their own offensive strike to stop the duo from reaching the Resistance base. On their journey, Alex and Gordon reached a communication station and contacted White Forest. Here, they let Eli and Isaac know they had survived the blast and that they had a data packet downloaded from the Citadel with all of the information the Resistance needed to move on with their plan with the rocket. Shortly after, the duo arrived at an old mine, and as Gordon looked for a way to open a gate to get inside, Alex was violently attacked and impaled by a Combine hunter as Gordon watched helplessly, trapped behind rubble. To their luck, they were close to a Resistance base occupied mostly by Vortigaunts, Victory Mine. One of the Vortigaunts there detected Alex was in trouble and came to save her, where it fought off the antlions around her unconscious body. The Vortigaunts knew just how important Alex and Gordon were in this fight against the Combine, and after the Vortigaunt freed Gordon from the rubble, it picked up Alex. Together, they travelled to Victory Mine. Alex was in a critical state, but the Vortigaunt explained that they could heal her. All they needed was for Gordon to retrieve antlion extract so that they could amplify their abilities to save her. It just so happened that this base was situated on top of an antlion colony, and so Gordon and the Vortigaunt that had saved Alex travelled into this colony to seek out the antlion extract. As Gordon and the Victory Mine Vortigaunt returned with the extract, the Vortigaunts here began their procedure on Alex. From a distance, the G-Man had watched the duo since they had both found themselves at the base of the Citadel, and with the Vortigaunts finally distracted, he froze time to have a heart-to-heart with Gordon. He told the scientist that he had plucked Alex out of Black Mesa when she was a child, as he believed she would also be a great investment, even if his employees had not initially seen her value. As a sort of repayment for saving Gordon's life after the death of the Nyland, the G-Man asked Gordon to make sure that Alex arrived at White Forest safely. Then, before this mysterious entity said goodbye, he whispered a message for Alex to tell her father when she saw him next. Prepare for unforeseen consequences. A message only Eli would understand. Having said what he needed to say, the G-Man disappeared and allowed time to continue as normal. The Vortigaunts were completely unaware that the G-Man had taken advantage of this situation, but through power and concentration, they healed Alex's wound. With Alex healed, the duo left Victory Mine and continued on their journey to White Forest. On their path, they encountered a Combine advisor and discovered just how dangerous these creatures were. After they accidentally disturbed it, the advisor became hostile and showed off its telepathic and telekinetic abilities, where it lifted Alex, Gordon, and a dead Resistance member off the ground as it prepared to strike them with its tongue. Fortunately, a piece of the machinery malfunctioned and injured the creature, where it flew off to safety. Eventually, Alex and Gordon reached a valley leading to the base, but came upon one final hurdle: a Strider. This valley was fully occupied by the Resistance, so when the Strider prepared to attack, Dog jumped from a cliff and ripped out its brain.
Kena ambil
Following
makanan
this,
nak
Gordon
pergi
and
jemput.
Alex raced Dog through the valley to White Forest, where, depending on who tells this story, the answer on who won will always be different. The arrival of Gordon and Alex boosted the spirits of the resistance members of White Forest. Most importantly, Alex was reunited with her father, where he mentioned that as the Combine suppression field had gone down, maybe she and Gordon could give him some grandkids. Shortly after, the group got together and discussed the plan going forward. As they spoke, Lamar entered the rocket in secret. Gordon also placed a gnome inside of the rocket that he had picked up a while back. This was the final push for the resistance. They just needed to complete the rocket. This was also the first time Gordon had seen Arnie Magnuson since the Resonance Cascade, but Arnie remembered Gordon for a different reason. On the day of the Resonance Cascade, Arnie had prepared a casserole and placed it into the microwave in the kitchen. When he returned to collect it, he discovered the remnants of what his casserole had once been. Gordon was responsible for this. Arnie did not understand why Gordon had chosen to destroy his casserole that day, but he had held this grudge over all of these years. Now, Gordon was the symbol of their revolution. So, if this man could help them launch the rocket, then just maybe he could forgive him. For the first time in decades, the Combine forces stranded on Earth found themselves in a desperate situation. They had no contact with their overworld, and the Resistance had the ability to stop their reinforcements from coming through. They just had to stop the rocket from launching. Having fully prepared for this moment since they had arrived at White Forest, this base was prepared for any assault that the Combine threw at them in these desperate times. As an alarm went off, Arnie sent Gordon to deal with it as the other scientists continued their work. Here, Gordon, with the help of the other Resistance members, fought off a Combine strike. Safe for now, Gordon entered a control room and watched as Dr. Kleiner explored the information from the data packet Alex had stolen from the Combine, where they extracted the Combine overworld coordinates, learned of Judith's attack, and her discovery of the Borealis. The discovery of this ship and attack on Judith instantly upset Eli. He argued that the potential technology on the Borealis, if used, could lead to another Black Mesa incident. He felt partially responsible for the Resonance Cascade, as he had not stopped the experiment when he had been told to prepare for unforeseen consequences. He did not stop that, but he could stop this, where he argued that nobody should have that sort of power. On the other hand, Isaac argued that the technology on the ship could help the Resistance and their goal to remove the Combine from the planet. Following this heated discussion, Eli decided that he would go after Judith and save her himself, where he would destroy the Borealis too. But, as a leader of the Resistance, Alex argued that if the Combine were to get their hands on him, they could use their advanced technology to acquire Resistance secrets from his brain. With all hands on deck, Dr. Magnuson called for Isaac to continue his work on the rocket, while Eli attempted to calm down. However, in this moment, Alex felt the urge to reiterate the words that the G-Man had said to her when she was unconscious. Prepare